Alright, we're going to try to do a review here of the Chuckworks RC Slice A3 chassis. The vehicle that I used it on was the Traxxas Rustler, and there's a actual slice or slash in the background to show the difference in height. The slash is almost tall enough to go over the top of the Slice chassis. If the slash didn't have the bars on the bottom, it would definitely fit over the top. The difference with it between the Rustler that I converted it from is it's completely a different vehicle. It makes it actually drive better than the Slash, which already drove better than the Rustler, but the Rustler was kind of a dog when racing, where the Slash was pretty good, but it had a tendency to roll over a lot, making it a little bit less competitive than the other brand short course trucks. With the chassis conversion, it is completely competitive with the other ones. It doesn't roll over nearly as much. The turning is completely different. One of the things that they did was move the motor up in front of the back, where you actually flip around the rear section of the vehicle, and with doing that it made it steer a whole lot better. And it also, whenever it goes over jumps now, it's a little bit nose heavy compared to where it used to be. The big thing is you'll have to go and practice a lot because it completely changes how the car drives. Whenever ramping my Slash, it would always go up, like kind of straight up in the air, and this one has a tendency to nosedive, which is a little bit harder at first as far as landing things, but if you can make like a double or a triple and time it just right, it will actually be at the perfect angle whenever it lands on that last jump. The one I'm running, I'm using a Genzace 5000 MA 40C pack, which was $35 on Hobby Parts. Tacon 3200 brushless motor, which was $25. The EXI D227F servo, which was $15.70. It lists a time of 0.09 seconds and 111 ounce inches. It's a digital coreless Metal Gear servo. It's night and day compared to the factory servo. It's very fast. I haven't had any problems with it yet, but it is very noisy, and every once in a while it gets a little bit of a kind of a twitch to it in center. I'm using the GT3B, which is $40. Probably the best cheap radio that you can get. The receivers for it are $750. So by the time you get the radio and a spare receiver, you're about to the cost of a receiver for another brand. On my truck, I'm running the Integy Slash springs and the big bore shocks, and it seems to work pretty well. I'm by no means a good or great racer, but I'll consistently get into an A main and kind of finish in the middle. But that's running, everything that I have here. I'm running the Mamba Max Pro, and it was about $110 shipped, and then for $10 more you can get this programming card. There was a coupon in my instruction manual that you just paid Castle and they gave you the card for $10, or you could get the Castle link for free. But the card's really nice for doing it at the track. I'll flip this up here. I've got the Mamba mounted right in the middle of the rails, and it fit perfectly. It's very snug. The one thing I did have to do is cut a little groove right behind the servo there that let the wires come through. Looks like it's maybe about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Pretty easy to cut. I just used a Dremel and dremeled it out. It was a little bit dusty, but other than that, it was really easy to do. The antenna mount I have is just antenna and just zip ties, holding it to the chassis. It seems to work great. The thing is really, really solid. You can't bend it at all. But it's made out of the G10 fiberglass, and with that it kind of gets scuffed on the bottom. This isn't from running in the street. I don't really bash this one at all, but it's got a couple of scuffs, probably from rocks in the track, and it's not looking too bad right now. The thing, if you look at how it sits, it's really right on the ground, where if you look at the Slash, you can see the height of that one. You can, fit a couple of hands under it, and I still use the Slash to kind of play around with. I think the height of that one is better for messing around, ramping over things and stuff. But overall, the assembly wasn't too bad. The instructions were pretty good. The big thing, there's a little bit of aluminum in it, and you'll want to Loctite all that because the screws will back out pretty quick. But other than that, it went together really well. The whole thing took me a couple of hours probably, with taking apart a Rustler and putting it together with this. But if you have a Rustler and you want to race, this is a night and day difference as far as how it's going to handle, and it definitely makes it competitive. It's $80, and you can get it from chuckworksrc.com. This is the A3 slice, and I must have got probably the last one. I don't know how many he sells, but as soon as I got this one in the mail, he released the A4, which is a little bit different design. It has kind of an upper and a lower instead of having these center rails, and he says that one's even better. This one's great though. I don't know how much improvement you would get out of it, but the material it's built out of is very sturdy. All the screw holes were countersunk perfectly, so you could put it together really, really easy. It's very smooth on the bottom once you get it put together, because all the screws fit right into those countersunk holes, which he did a really, really good job on. I'm running some kind of aluminum stuff, which I had a tendency to break before, basically getting hit by other drivers. The Slash has been a lot more durable. I don't think I've broken anything on it yet. And the Rustler I always broke, rear bearing carriers, front bearing carriers. You bend the pins in these pretty easy, and I've pretty well eliminated those problems. But yeah, overall, great kit, especially if you have a Rustler and you want to race it. The whole thing drives so much better than the old. I thought the Slash drove really well, other than the flipping over, but this one drives so much better, especially compared to a Rustler, that there's not really a comparison. But yeah, any questions, let me know, and I'll try to do a couple more reviews of different stuff I have. I'm a pretty budget racer, and everything's going great, so let me know.